So, how did I implement my PBworks wiki site to use with my students? First, how did I introduce it to my students? Well, I actually learned about PBworks, which was then called PBWiki, at the Silicon Valley Q Tech Conference about 2 years and about a month ago. And a fellow Google certified teacher named Kathleen Ferenz was presenting about PBWiki, and she had us all try it hands-on. I immediately saw ways in my mind, I could envision ways that my students could be using this for collaborative projects. My 6th graders were just beginning a project on volcanoes that their 6th grade science teacher had asked I do with them. So they needed to work in groups to create presentations about different assigned volcanoes that they were going to present in their science classes. So I wasn't even going to witness the actual presentations. But I did want to have a smoother way for the students to be able to collaborate with each other. Enter PBworks. I set up a wiki just for the 6th graders for this project, and using PBWiki, what it was then called, and I created pages for each group of students, and then I taught them a little bit about what a wiki was and how we were going to use it, and I found the video, the Common Craft video that's on my homepage still, and I shared that with them so they would understand this concept of a shared collaborative space. Then I just said, right guys, here's your pages, try stuff. And they would ask me questions like, Mrs. Main, what happens when we steal the lock? Mrs. Main, what happens if I click on this? And I would say, I don't know. Try it and tell me what happens. We're learning this together. I told them that I had just learned about the tool and I just used the tool a little bit, just a few days before they did, and so we were going to learn it together. And it went really well. The students that I started that experiment with are now my 8th graders. At the time, I had them for all of 5th grade and most of 6th grade up to that point. I already knew what they could handle in terms of, figuring out the interface of a new tool, and I knew that I could set them up with this and that they would be okay. They would figure it out. And they're my 8th graders today, like I said, and they haven't disappointed me yet. Now, I mentioned how my students initially got access to my wiki. I just set up pages for them and had them set up accounts. But you also need to know that my students have GaggleNet email addresses at school in grades 3 through 8. So my students already have the email addresses, and that's what I use, or I have them use, to set up their PBworks accounts. They set it up using their school email address as their username, and they use the same password that they use for other school-related applications. That way, if there's a problem and I need to get in, I know what their passwords are and I can look that up and help them with problems. Then I just, I got them into the wiki and had them start. Now, since changing over to a premium wiki with some of the additional features that has, I created the different folders that I showed in the design and development stages of this blog sharing experience. And when my students log in, they see only those folders to which they have been granted access. And in those folders, they can get to any of the files, and they can edit any file that's not locked, but they have guidance from me about which pages they should be working in and which pages they just shouldn't work in at all. So as I mentioned in earlier stages of this process, I monitor what they're doing. When you're inviting students to join a PBworks site, there's actually more than one way that you can do it. You can send them the link to your PBworks site, and then you can tell them, I want you to go through the process of requesting access to my PBworks site. Or you can add the students manually according to their email addresses or however you want to add the students. There is a way to add students and to create PBworks accounts for students without an email address. I have not had to use that, but it is possible. But what I generally do is, like, I added all of my 4th graders all at once this year by importing their email addresses and then setting those accounts up for them so that when they came to school and school started, they had an email that they needed to use to confirm that they were joining my site. Since it is an online tool, the students can get access to it from home, from school, or from anywhere that they can get on the internet. Now, finally, what did I do to get permission from my school to use this tool? Well, I didn't do anything because I didn't ask permission to use it at my school. Now, I don't advocate that kind of behavior, educators out there. I do need you to know that my school trusts me They give me a great degree of latitude to choose the tools and the methods that I see fit, and I have earned that trust with them over years. I have been working with or at my school for a total of going on 12 years now. So I am not a new entity. They know what they can, trust me to do, and they actually rely on me to find out what the new tools are out there. I initially secured the funding for the first year of our GaggleNet email accounts. It proved to be such a useful tool that they wanted to continue that. It was very popular with parents and students, and so they made the funding available as part of my yearly budget to continue with GaggleNet. I got Google Apps started, which is free. I have a Kia account that for several years I paid for myself when I used to teach 5th grade at the school, and that is now also a part of my technology budget because I use it for technology stuff. I also have Turnitin. Again, I asked for funding from the school for the first year, and again, it proved to be quite popular, and so they continue to pay for the paid accounts for Turnitin. And with PBworks, I actually have a premium account, but I've earned that through working with PBworks in their summer camps. I attended their summer camp the first year, and I was a mentor last year, and I plan to be a mentor in the coming summer. So I don't think I've ever paid for an account from PBworks yet because it's been covered by the service that I've provided during the summer. So my school knows that I am very willing to monitor carefully what my students are up to. I can, I get emails daily whenever my PBworks wiki is changed, so I can see what's happening. And also, I spend a lot of my own time on weekends and traveling to conferences and different things that I am active and I'm maintaining, improving myself as a professional. And my administration knows that I'm not lazy in that capacity. They know that I keep up with what's new and what's good and what's actively engaging kind of tool and what's going to be useful, and they really do trust my judgment. And nothing at my school is really blocked, so I don't have to speak to someone to get access to PBworks unblocked or anything like that, whereas that may be an issue for some schools. And also my IT guy, who does not have a background in education or teaching, he works very closely with me. If I ask him for help with something, he comes down and he has me show him how I'm going to use it, and he trusts my judgment as well. He knows I'm not going to do something that's going to damage the reputation of the school or cause us problems or endanger the students or our security in any way. In closing, I do just want to say that if you are thinking of implementing a wiki, just do it. Just really go for it. Get it going. The kids will pick up on it super quick. They'll figure out features that you don't even realize are there, and before you know it, you'll have more ideas for how to use the wiki than you originally started with, and the kids they'll feel more comfortable with that, especially if there's any kind of a collaborative situation, because they can access it from anywhere, whether they're face-to-face with their partners in a group or not. So just go for it. If you're entertaining this idea, try it, and I think most people that try it are going to be really pleasantly surprised with how much it levels the playing field for the students and gets all the students equally involved.